On February 24, 2022, the world watched in shock as Russian forces launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The sudden and aggressive move by Russia sent ripples of fear and uncertainty across the globe. The offensive, characterized by its speed and aggression, targeted key cities and military infrastructure across the country. Russian military convoys crossed the border, and within hours explosions and missile strikes were reported in multiple regions. Ukrainian cities found themselves under relentless attack, with military bases and critical infrastructure suffering significant damage. The rapid advancements by Russian forces left the world in disbelief. Putin's stated goals included the denazification and demilitarization of Ukraine, along with preventing its NATO membership. These claims were broadcasted widely through Russian propaganda channels. This rationale, however, was widely perceived as a pretext for a larger geopolitical ambition. Analysts and international leaders quickly pointed out that Putin's motives were likely more complex and far-reaching. The invasion sent shockwaves through the international community, prompting widespread condemnation and swift sanctions against Russia. Emergency meetings were held, and protests erupted worldwide. Many anticipated the collapse of the Russian economy and a swift military defeat. The sanctions were expected to cripple Russia's financial system and bring about a quick end to the conflict. However, these predictions failed to materialize. The Russian economy showed unexpected resilience and the military operations continued unabated. Instead, the conflict morphed into a grueling war of attrition, defying early expectations. Prolonged battles and standoffs became the new reality on the ground. The invasion marked a turning point in European security, shattering the post-Cold War order. NATO and the European Union were forced to reassess their strategies and security measures. The conflict has had far-reaching consequences, from triggering a global energy crisis to causing a spike in energy prices. People around the world felt the impact as energy bills soared. It also exacerbated food insecurity in vulnerable regions, as supply chains were disrupted and agricultural production faced significant challenges. Moreover, it has raised profound questions about the future of international relations and the rules-based order. The world now faces a period of uncertainty and re-evaluation of global security dynamics. In the face of the Russian onslaught, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky emerged as a beacon of resistance, embodying the spirit and resilience of his nation. Defying expectations that he would flee the country, Zelensky chose to remain in Kiev, rallying his people and becoming a symbol of Ukrainian defiance. His presence in the capital amidst the chaos sent a powerful message to both Ukrainians and the world. His decision to stay and fight resonated deeply both within Ukraine and internationally. It showcased his commitment to his country and his people, reinforcing the resolve of Ukrainians to stand firm against the invasion. Zelensky's leadership, characterized by its directness and emotional appeal, proved instrumental in galvanizing international support for Ukraine. His heartfelt speeches and unwavering stance drew global attention to the plight of his nation. His wartime addresses, often delivered in a simple green t-shirt, resonated with audiences worldwide, highlighting the human cost of the conflict and appealing for assistance. These speeches became iconic, symbolizing the struggle and determination of the Ukrainian people. His unwavering courage and determination rallied Ukrainians to defend their homeland. His actions inspired not just soldiers but civilians as well, to take up arms and protect their country. It also played a crucial role in securing vital military aid and diplomatic support from Western nations. His persistent efforts ensured that Ukraine received the necessary resources to continue its fight. Zelensky's wartime leadership transformed him from a former comedian into a globally recognized symbol of resistance against aggression. His journey from entertainer to wartime leader is a testament to his resilience and dedication to his country. The initial Western response to the invasion, while swift and united, was predicated on several miscalculations about Russia's resilience and the conflict's trajectory. The West believed that crippling economic sanctions would cripple the Russian economy, forcing Putin to reconsider his actions. However, the Russian economy proved more resilient than initially anticipated. Similarly, the West overestimated the effectiveness of the Ukrainian military's ability to repel the invasion. While Ukrainian forces put up a valiant defense, they were outmatched in terms of manpower and equipment. This misjudgment led to initial hesitancy in providing Ukraine with heavy weaponry, fearing escalation. These miscalculations highlighted a fundamental misunderstanding of Putin's resolve and the nature of the conflict. It became increasingly apparent that the war would be a protracted affair, demanding a recalibration of Western strategy. The invasion of Ukraine should be understood within the context of Putin's broader geopolitical strategy. Putin aims to challenge the US-led world order and reassert Russia's sphere of influence. The Ukraine war, in this sense, is not an isolated event but a calculated move in a larger game. Putin has actively cultivated relationships with countries like China, India, and North Korea, seeking to forge alternative power structures that counterbalance Western dominance. This realignment aims to create a multipolar world where Russia plays a more prominent role. Furthermore, Putin has not hesitated to employ nuclear rhetoric, raising the specter of nuclear escalation to deter direct Western intervention in the conflict. This strategy, while highly risky, underscores his willingness to use all means necessary to achieve his objectives. Section 5. Shifting Sands of Western Strategy. As the war progressed and the initial assumptions proved inaccurate, the West was forced to adapt its strategy. The focus shifted from seeking a swift Russian collapse to providing Ukraine with the means to defend itself and inflict costs on the invading forces. One notable shift was the eventual decision to provide Ukraine with more advanced and long-range weaponry. This decision, initially met with hesitancy due to fears of escalation, reflected a growing understanding that the war would be a long and grinding conflict. Furthermore, the West intensified its sanctions regime, targeting key sectors of the Russian economy and individuals within Putin's inner circle. The aim was to increase the economic pressure on Putin and erode his ability to sustain the war effort. Section 6. Stalemate and Uncertain Futures. By 2025, the conflict has reached a brutal stalemate. While Russia managed to occupy significant portions of Ukrainian territory, it has failed to achieve its initial objectives of swift decapitation of the Ukrainian government or complete subjugation of the country. The war has transitioned into a war of attrition, with both sides heavily entrenched and casualty rates soaring. The front lines have remained largely static, with neither side able to achieve a decisive breakthrough. The future of the conflict remains highly uncertain. Possible scenarios range from a negotiated settlement, however unlikely at present, to a protracted frozen conflict with neither side willing to back down. The outcome will have profound implications for the future of Ukraine, Russia, and the international order. Section 7. The War at Home. Public Opinion and Politics. The ongoing war has had significant domestic repercussions, particularly in Western countries. Public opinion, initially overwhelmingly in support of Ukraine, has begun to show signs of fatigue as the conflict drags on and its economic consequences bite. Rising energy prices, fueled by sanctions on Russian energy exports, have contributed to inflation and a cost-of-living crisis in many Western nations. This has led to growing public discontent and political pressure on governments to find a resolution to the conflict. The war's impact on public opinion poses a challenge for Western leaders seeking to maintain a united front in support of Ukraine. Sustaining public support for a protracted and costly conflict will require careful communication and a clear articulation of the stakes involved. Section 8. India's Balancing Act. India has emerged as a key player in the context of the Russia-Ukraine war, carefully navigating its relationships with both Russia and the West. This delicate balancing act is a testament to India's growing influence on the global stage and its ability to maintain strategic autonomy. Despite pressure from the West to condemn the invasion, India has maintained its long-standing partnership with Russia, particularly in the areas of defense and energy. This relationship is not just historical but also practical, as Russia provides critical military hardware and energy resources that are vital for India's security and economic needs. India's stance is rooted in its own strategic considerations. The country has to weigh its options carefully, balancing its need for security, economic growth, and regional stability. Russia remains a vital arms supplier to India, and New Delhi is wary of pushing Moscow closer to Beijing. The geopolitical landscape in Asia is complex, and India must navigate its relationships with both Russia and China carefully to maintain its strategic interests. Furthermore, India sees an opportunity to enhance its own global standing by playing a mediating role in the conflict. By positioning itself as a neutral party, India aims to foster dialogue and potentially broker peace, thereby elevating its status as a global diplomatic player. India's Balancing Act highlights the emergence of a more multipolar world, where countries increasingly prioritize their own national interests and are less beholden to traditional alliances. This shift is indicative of a changing global order where power is more distributed and nations seek to carve out independent foreign policies. It also underscores the limitations of Western efforts to isolate Russia completely on the international stage. Despite sanctions and diplomatic pressure, Russia continues to find allies and partners, demonstrating the complexities of global diplomacy in the 21st century. Section 9. A World Reshaped. The Russia-Ukraine war has profoundly reshaped the geopolitical landscape, accelerating existing trends and ushering in a new era of uncertainty. The post-Cold War order, already under strain, has been irrevocably shattered. The conflict has exposed the fragility of international norms and the limitations of global governance in the face of naked aggression. It has also highlighted the return of great power competition and the growing risk of conflict between nuclear-armed states. The war's long-term consequences remain to be seen. However, one thing is certain: the world is entering a new and unpredictable chapter, one defined by heightened tensions, shifting alliances, and the ever-present threat of conflict.